and I'm joined by Henrik and Did of Empyre. How you guys doing?
Hey Lee, thanks for having us. Yeah, we're doing fine, I think.
Really good, thanks Lee. Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
No, pleasure. Always good to speak to you guys. You know that. As we air this interview, you guys will have just released Relentless, your brand new album. From the singles that you guys have released so far, I can't wait to hear the rest of this record. I think I said to yourself, Henrik, like, it just sounds like a bigger, more anthemic, more cinematic approach to what you guys have released previously with your previous albums. Is that something you were consciously doing to try and make it a bigger, more anthemic side of things, or did it just grow?
To an extent, yeah, it was. We went from the approach of not actually giving ourselves any rules of what we could or couldn't include, number of guitar parts, orchestra, samples, synths, and some of the songs, like most recent single "Waking Light," that was written trying to be an atmospheric anthem. And the whole sound around the album was kind of like we'll go on a no holds barred approach, basically.
Did you take that through to your videos? Because even your video production seems to have gone and grown as well. I'm thinking about along lines of like Hit and Run and Relentless as well, and Waking Light, to be fair.
I guess in one way, we've had more time to do some of those things. So knowing that the album was coming out, having it ready for a while, getting the record label, and then knowing that we could do a bit of prep in the meantime, that we had a bit of time to play with. So that meant that we could do, if we take like Hit and Run, for example, that was recorded last August, I think early August. And we pretty much knew we were signing at that point. It was, that close. So we thought, right, let's get this filmed. It's a warm summer song. We want to do it on a hot day. And that was in the bag. And even back in, when did we do that stuff at Bedford Theatre? The 360 stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Relentless, that was like September, but actually when we first went there to do, because we did a bunch of like 360 video, you can see on our YouTube channel, and we'll be releasing like more of that stuff. We did a bunch of 360 videos, so a 360 camera that we can create various bits of content with.
Nice.
So it was that, and then Waking Light's just some AI stuff that I've been playing around with over the last few months. But Relentless, the video for Relentless, which we went back to a theatre in Bedford to record, that was actually, because it was going to be the first video, it was the more sort of professional production. That's one where we got in an outside camera crew, sort of videographer, I should say, and they did a proper job. Although we did make some light bars.
Yeah, we did some DIY.
We still did DIY.
We've seen the video,
yeah, we can't help it. So, but thank you. I mean, we tried to make, I guess,
each song kind of marry well with some artwork, marry well with video production, so that the song is, the heart of it, but there's also the other creative elements with it as well. So
it wants to be a kind of complete package, and I guess Relentless is becoming more of that in terms of, we released the music, you get the single covers, you get some videos, and now you're getting a whole load of other artwork if you're following our socials in terms of what came before it and how it all evolved. So there's there's like an evolution to it and a whole package, but we did want to make it seem glossy and as if we're a bigger band than we actually are.
You say that you've had some pretty big things happen to you since I last saw you guys. Obviously, when I was fortunate enough to have you play Just Push Play, I mean, you started with K-Scope Records. When that came through, that was utterly amazing. I remember speaking to Terry and Heidi ahead of your Just Push Play performance, and obviously they couldn't tell me the news, but they did say, look, the boys are really close to signing a very, very cool deal, and I think you'd be impressed. And when that news came through, I couldn't have been more made up for you guys.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Lee. I think when we last spoke in terms of doing one of these, I think we were talking about some K-Scope artists, and perhaps in particular like Stephen Wilson and stuff. So but that was probably before, maybe we had an inkling, maybe we knew they'd heard the album at that point. I can't quite put my finger on exactly when we last did one of these chats, but yeah, it is weird that that's just the way it worked. And just so happens that like they're a label with pretty much all of Grant's favorite bands on.
I was going to say, I bet Grant was ecstatic.
Yeah.
I don't think he could have been happier with the
Yeah.
label. No.
I remember obviously when I had Grant on the show before, and we were chatting through bass players and that kind of thing. I was being a bass player myself, and pretty much all the sort of influences he was mentioned, probably with the exception of Tool, pretty much all of them were on Kscope.
Yeah, I mean, he's the one that I didn't know anything about Kscope really until Grant came into the band, and he introduced us, or me at
Stephen
least, to
Wilson.
Stephen Wilson,
Yeah.
Porcupine Tree, Pineapple Thief, and yeah, that was always his kind of scene. So yeah, I had a little bit of an idea about him beforehand, but that's all down to Grant.
Yeah. I mean, when we spoke before, I mean, I've mentioned before, you've always had that sort of, like I say, that kind of artistic, progressive element to you guys. So Kscape seems like a really good pairing for that. Well, did you find them that they were more supportive in any way at all, and that side of things?
So in terms of the music and our approach, or I mean, well, we'd done the album.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, so the album was already recorded before.
Yeah, it was all everything. Yeah, so creatively, everything. That's what they were. That's what they'd seen to work with.
Oh, okay.
So,
Yeah, we basically,
Yeah.
so when we finished the album, it was like early 2022, I think it was, that when it was finally mixed, we went into the studio, we paid in and out of lockdown sessions, and then there was quite a lot of mixing going on afterwards. Had a few goes at mixing it.
Mm.
So it was a case of we'd paid for all of that, and we were fully expecting to do what we did with Self-Aware and the other side.
Yeah.
To actually just release it by ourselves. But then it was like early-ish 2022 when we gave Kscope a listen of the finished product. So, and it was at that stage when they I don't think they even knew who we were beforehand. Which is not, I'm not saying that because like I don't think many people know who we are. So
Plenty of people know who you are. What are you on about? So with that in mind, what was the sort of timescale of sort of the songwriting from like start to finish with this record then, if you had it before?
Well, it was through when we were first let out of the long lockdown was when we had one track from Self-Aware in early demo stages, but I would say halfway into 2020 was when we were starting.
I think once we knew we'd gone into lockdown, and I remember in that March time, because that was just after Winter's End, and it was like 3 weeks after we'd done Winter's End, and we knew we had the other side in the bag. That was already recorded. And we knew we were going to record it. So our heads were completely set on like releasing singles from the other side and releasing an album. We just didn't have the time scale in place, but we had all that in the bag, luckily. So
yeah, that was.
I guess we kind of started as soon as we went into lockdown and things changed. Then
we started writing independently, but as soon as we could get out of that first lockdown, I was pretty much round here. This is Empyre HQ.
Yeah.
Okay, this is where Relentless was written, where the demos were put together, and then through the various lockdowns, we would have sent demos to Elliot and Grant, and then when we got them, sort of the songs in their sort of genesis form, we would go into the practice room and then really refine all the parts and put them together.
It was really stop-start because it was like strict lockdowns, and then how many people can that I can't remember how it worked, but weren't there like sort of 3 different stages of lockdowns? So it was like, okay, we got some songs. What can we get into the practice room? Is everybody comfortable to be in the practice room? Was like the question, can we do that? And even by the time we got to the studio, or booking some time, it was really tentative. I remember talking to Neil, booking at Parlour Studio, and going, like, we'd like to book a week there, but like if we go into lockdown, what happens to the deposit? What happens to? I mean, they were really great. They're like really flexible in terms of, and like, can we have like 2 people in the studio? Can me and Did be there? And it was. I mean, I think we've probably forgotten how awkward it was.
They were strange times, weren't they? But we, I mean, one of the things we did during the lockdown, Henrik invested in Spitfire Audio BBC Symphony.
Oh, cool.
So this is probably something interesting for you, Lee, because not many bands will do this. But it's basically it's a plugin for using BBC actual symphony orchestral instruments.
Ah, cool.
Actual instruments that, you know, when you go and see, well, from the orchestra that that we used, that you hear on the album.
So it's just I discovered the world of samples. Basically, I think I was sitting in bed one day having a cup of tea during lockdown. If I, to be frank about it, and something came up on my YouTube. I think it was a Christian Henson video talking about the BBC Symphony Orchestra Spitfire audio package. I was like, oh, this is going to be expensive. This is a bad video to watch.
Yeah.
And it turned out, I can't remember what the initial price was. It was like maybe like 299 quid. And they even had a free version you could get. Like if you waited 2 weeks, you'd get it for free or pay £49 for it immediately. And I was like, I'm going to go for the mid-level version. It was called BBC SO Core. I didn't know what I was doing. And then I found...
still don't know what
well,
we're
that's
doing.
true. That's true. That's true. I don't know if we can we swear on this channel, Lee?
Yeah, of course you can.
Okay, so like one of the things while we were writing, and Did and I would be in this room writing, and we would be making mistakes in recording, and we'd go, I don't know what I'm fucking doing.
Yeah.
Just playing around, just doing stuff.
Which
So-
is all part of the creative process, you know.
Yeah, it is. It's like when you get, you know, when you pick up any instrument for the first time or any kind of play, you're always playing with it and finding, you know, what you can and can't do with it, what doesn't work.
Yeah, but also like things like downstairs before this, we're signing cards, you know, with pre-orders, and people want our autographs and things, and it's just like, I don't know why you want that. You know, great that you listen to the music and come to the shows and everything, but it's just some writing.
I guess we're saying that we don't quite feel like rock stars yet. It's so
Even though we've done some pretty big rock star things, you know, we're playing Steelhouse again this year. I mean, your gigs and stuff, and we've done, we've done quite a lot of rock star things, but we just love music. So
the Apex was a great venue. We like the Apex. That was Just Push Play was great.
Oh, thanks, man.
Your light bars as well. Yeah, there's some good pictures of us. It's difficult to capture all four of us on stage in terms of like you got to be at the right angle to make sure you can see all of us. There's a couple of, I think we used one as our Facebook header at one point of us on stage at the Apex. Maybe it was like a fisheye lens. It was really good. Yeah.
No, it was a great day, and you know, thank you guys again for playing. It was you know, like you were talking there about Winter's End. Since that was the first time I saw you guys was at Planet Rock Winter's End in 2020, and from the moment I saw you, I wanted you guys on. So you know, and obviously we spoke about it for a little while before it happened because we were talking about it. Then lockdown kicked in, and I had to move 2020's line up to 2021 and all that kind of thing. So you know, thank you guys for sticking with me and coming up and playing. Great show, man.
That's all. Thanks for having
Thanks
us.
for sticking with us, basically, and keeping us on the bill. We really appreciate it. It was good.
No problem at all. So we were talking about obviously the album itself there with Relentless. Did you change your songwriting approach from like say Self-Aware?
Wow, with the inclusion of the orchestration, I think largely for Relentless, there was much more of the writing involved with me and Henrik being in this room and putting all parts together. So that includes bass parts and thinking about drum parts and arranging songs in that respect. Prior to that, with Self-Aware, there was a lot in the rehearsal room. There was a lot of, you know, arranging songs. You know, Henrik would come with a riff cut to the core or something, and we'd or I'd bring Stone or Too Close or something. With this, we were much more getting everything as ready as possible in its demo stage before going into the studio and getting all the parts really as we wanted them.
But it was kind of adapting to the situation because when we first started writing stuff, it was all remote, and that was a lot of the time. So I had a bit of a technical setup. I used Cubase, so I had that already. But I think you got Cubase during lockdown, didn't you?
I did get Cubase, but I much prefer working here.
And Grant, I think, and Elliot's got electric drum kit. That helped a lot.
Yeah.
The fact because like, yeah, I'm sure he could play. Or sometimes he'd pop to his dad's, wouldn't he, and play his drum kit where his actual physical drum kit was to do like when we could like release videos because we'd do like Foursquare videos and stuff like that. So He records some stuff there, and Grant got us set up so we could at least share demos or send the guys something and say, Elliot, can you put down some drums for this? Grant, can you come up with a bass line? Can you just like, we'd be sending them loads of different versions. Here's a version with vocals. Here's a version without vocals. Here's a version with no drums. Here's a version with no bass. So the missing person could put in their part and then upload it to our drive, and then we'd listen to it, and loads and loads of backwards and forwards in it. And for the people getting used to the tech of just not all being able to be in a rehearsal room.
That's great, man. I mean, did you have any sort of albums that you were that you took inspiration of in terms of, sonically how the album sounded, or how?
Well, there's one main one from Lockdown.
Oh yeah, I suppose that was, yeah. We really got into Dizzy Miss Lizzy because they released an album. It was their first album in 10 years, which is an incredible album called Alter Echo. But to answer your question, I think we were writing the songs, and generally we've got our own vision of how we want them to sound based on Henrik's vocal. I don't want Henrik's vocal to sound like anyone other than himself.
No, of course.
And Elliot's drums, yeah, you can say, can you make the drum kit sound like this player, but not really for Empire. We're pretty much we know how we want things to sound based on our individual identities. What might be more interesting to you is like the choice of instrumentation. Like so for Grant, for certain songs, we needed a bit of fretless. So rather than say, Grant, we need you to sound like Flea, or it's not at all like that. For us, we're more like, oh, fretless is a cool sound. Use that. Let's see how that. Oh, that works really well. Let's go for that. And like in the studio with like the snare, like getting the drums sounding right, it's like, oh yeah, that's a great sounding kit. Let's work with it. Yeah,
of course. I mean, like you say, Empire is the sound of you four guys together, so that totally makes sense. But it feels like on this album, from the singles I've heard anyway, that you guys kind of push yourselves further a bit more in terms of where, like you say, not giving yourselves limitations where you couldn't go, doubling up on or tripling up on multi-lane guitar tracks, whatever it might be. It just sounds like you guys really gave it everything on this. I mean, there was always that progressive sound and side of you guys, but I felt like from the songs I've heard so far that was sort of more explored in a way.
Yeah, well, we just wrote whatever we wanted and put in there whatever we wanted. I mean, and it was a case of we had the time to like throw the kitchen sink at it. When we started doing orchestral parts or just using synth and MIDI keyboard to just like layer some stuff, we didn't know how we were going to do that live, and we're still working out how to do some of those things live. It's not like you're going to see Empire with an orchestra anytime soon, unfortunately, as much as we would like to do that. But yeah, those we just thought we want it to sound the way we want it to sound. And as we discovered stuff, it's like, well, I want to put this into a song, no matter whether it's a violin, a viola, a cello, or some kind of 80s synth sound. So we thought we're going to write this album and worry about the live side afterwards, and just hope that we can do it the CD justice, the CD, the recorded version.
Of course. And speaking of that the more sort of cinematic sound side to side of things, obviously the other day, or might have been last week now, you did the show over at Film House. There was your Q&A and album list. That looked like a great event from the social side of things I saw online. How did you guys find that?
Well, it was brilliant. It was a brilliant location. It was fantastic for us to be in our hometown, and we had, I think it was around 80 people. Every seat was full, and from different parts of the UK. We have people come down from Scotland, and just for that first listen, Henrik had done a visual for each song, whether it be a music video or so for each song, that people could have the experience of hearing the song, but visually there was something as well to see on the cinema screen. And then we did Q&A in between each tracks, and it was very informal. It was it was a great event for people to hear the album, but it was informal and relaxed, and people could have a laugh and ask what they want. And we also had one guy come over from France.
Wow.
Yeah, one. Where was Antoine from? He was from...
Antoine. So Antoine has a channel called Duke TV, and yeah, the really weird thing for me and for us is that we've had a lot of French press to do. We've done a lot of interviews for France, so which is which is great, and they showed such an interest that really nice guy Antoine came over here just for the day to come, and he's going to do like a little mini documentary on the day. Spoiler alert! In terms, so some of the stuff from the listening party, and then some of the stuff from the gig in the evening. He kind of like followed us around a little bit. Can't wait to see that. But with the listening party, I really wanted to give it the wow factor. It just so happens that we got a nice film house in Northampton.
Yeah, it looked beautiful.
It was like nice leather seats, and they recline, and it's like you can get beer, beer and wine in the foyer.
It's very comfortable. It
was very Empire. It's the way I describe it. And then so when people came in, you had something on the screen, but there was no music. We thought about putting on some stuff from Self-Aware, but we just thought a bit of a sensory deprivation to start off with. Yeah. And then we did an intro, and then the first thing you see is like a massive cinematic version of the Relentless video, and it went on from there basically. So we just tried to make it as wow factor as possible. Plus, of course, so many people hearing the album for the first time.
How did were there any songs in particular, maybe ones that you hadn't released, that you were looking forward to seeing people's reaction to in that sort of setting?
I think definitely. I think for us though, as a band, for all of us, we were really excited about just people's general response to the album as it progressed from start to finish. Yes, they've heard Relentless before, but we did Q&A, so people had questions about Relentless, and for every track. Well, it didn't get booed, which is
disappointing.
Which was
disappointing for us,
because not our style.
We do like a good boo.
It wasn't our style, and it got raucous applause. Each track got, and people were really enthused about it and wanting to ask questions and delve into the songwriting and the use of AI. So to answer your question, it was mainly about the response for each track, not individual tracks that I was looking forward to seeing.
Nice. And you mentioned the use of AI there, but how did that embody itself within the album and the overall sort of concept?
AI wrote the whole album. We're ahead of the game. No. Although they're saying that now, aren't they? AI is going to be able to do pop songs.
It's a matter of time before we are made redundant, sadly. But so there will be more AI stuff coming out, and basically, it kind of started with the Parasites single cover.
Okay.
So that was something that did, and I sat down here and I was playing with a tool called Midjourney. And we were trying to give it prompts to come up with an idea for a single cover. So we had ideas, but we wanted to see what AI would do with those ideas. And oddly, I think we asked Midjourney in our prompt to give us a 12-legged humanoid insect or something like scary. And that's pretty much what it came up with to give you the Parasite single cover. You couldn't write Parasite in the prompt because that's a banned word on Midjourney.
Okay.
So we had to kind of work around that, and well, it's only got 4 legs, I think, the thing. And at first it was blue, but I always felt that Parasites was more of a red song, so changed it to red. Although you will see a blue version of it in the Waking Light video, and the Waking Light video is really where AI, came into its own for this, because I'd seen what was called an infinite zoom video, and if you've seen the video, it just kind of keeps on coming out at you, and you kind of get drawn into it. So we showed that on the cinema screen when we did the listening party. I'm surprised no one passed out. I mean,
I bet that was intense in that kind of surrounding.
I couldn't watch it all the way through.
Yeah.
It's like it gets progressively more and more. So I developed these it's basically like 1,000 frames or so of AI images, all sequenced in After Effects, to with some footage, and then a few little things I've tweaked. So we're in there in a few different places, and it was an experiment, and I enjoyed doing that. And then from there, we also made additional artwork with Midjourney, and then morphed those to make a very basic music video. We didn't want to overload people on the songs they didn't know.
No.
So it kind of be a static image that then morphed into something else, that then morphed into something else. Imagine the end of the black and white video by Michael Jackson where the heads morph between each other. But yeah, that's kind of like how the images morph. So there was stuff like that, and just some basic visualizers, and then we finished off with the Your Whole Life Slows infographic. So it's like a picture of again a human body-ish. AI doesn't quite know anatomy, but never mind. And then I'd come up with a whole load of different facts about the album, and in particular Your Whole Life Slows, and that's where the whole legend of Grant's washing machine came from.
I did wonder where that came from.
Yeah, I could tell the story if you want.
Go for it.
So the bass line for Your Whole Life Slows is Grant's bass line, and he sent over about, I think, like 5 or 6 like suggestions for bass lines for
ideas. Yeah, just like
yeah.
He's been jamming, and you know, he recorded some or filmed himself just doing some little bass tracks, and we picked up on one.
Yeah, it was just a case of he was sitting there, and I could hear this. It's a video. Still got the video somewhere, and I like this bass line, but there's a sound in the background. So it's like, Grant, I kind of like some of your stuff, and I've written some guitar parts, but what's that sound in the background to the one you've called GH delay riff? I think that's what he called it. And he was like, I was like, there's a sound in the background. It's like a whining sound. He's like, that's my washing machine finishing its spin cycle. I was like, I like it. We need that in the song. And he just thought I was messing with him, and it's like, I really wasn't. So he tried recording his washing machine. It didn't work out. So what I've done is taken a shepherd tone, which is a aural illusion where it seems to be descending. You can have them ascending or descending. It's basically, I think it's like 3 different octaves.
Yeah, starting at different points.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah, got you.
So it gives the sense that it is constantly descending, and we've gone descending to start with, hence Your Whole Life Slows. So it's as if the song's kind of slowing down, but the tempo is actually consistent.
Right.
And that's based on Grant's washing machine.
There you go. See, when you take on the road, if you get to the big arenas, like you should do what Rush did and have all the washing machines in the back.
Well, I suggested that idea, I think. Yeah.
Little did we know that Rush had stolen the idea back years ago from us for that.
There you go. See, Rush always on the thief.
Yeah, exactly. Can't trust them.
We were talking about, obviously, the cinema show that you did at the Filmhouse, and then you've got your album launch party coming up, which I'm coming up to at KK's next month. That looks like it's already going to be a great show. Have you got anything in particular that you're lining up for that? Would it be the album launch show, or anything you can tell us? Imagine the stuff you can't.
Well, yeah, I think it'd be a bit rude to share anything. I mean, I think we plan to make it a little bit different to what we did in Northampton a few weeks ago. There'll be some little spins on that, but you'll hear the whole of Relentless. Nice. and a good selection of Self-Aware. That's the plan. So I guess we just want it to be a bit of a celebration. We've invited a lot of people, and it's I don't know. I can only like it to a sort of communal event. Yeah, it's a bit of a kind of us trying to say thank you to everybody for supporting us, basically. No,
it's cool, man. You're doing that. I totally appreciate it. You want to keep some stuff back to the day, because when you're in the room itself, that's where it's at, really. Let's be honest. But it's nice to have those side of things. But another one that surprised me, obviously, I've got the album on pre-order, so I got an email come through, I think it was last week, week before, with your cover of Titanium, which is fantastic. It wasn't a song that I would, stereotypically put with you guys, but it works very, very well. How did you guys come to doing that, and why that song in particular?
So Titanium was actually one of the songs that me and Henrik used to cover acoustically.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, in the early days of Empyre, when we were still doing the sort of the cover band gigs, we were doing it acoustically, and we'd also done it electrically. But then what we did with this new version with Grant and Elliot was tweak it a little bit, make it full on electric, and do an actual recording of it. So yeah, it's been in the backlog of Empyre for a while, but never recorded. So
oh, sounds great.
it's great for loads. It's a song that me and Henrik are really used to playing over the years, but for listeners and people who are aware of Empyre, it's completely new, which is great.
And this is it. Like, that's just what struck me about it, was how it almost, you were so comfortable with it, it could have been an Empyre track. You know what I mean? It had that kind of vibe about it, whereas obviously I hadn't heard you do that sort of rendition of it. So that just sounded great.
Thank you. Yeah, we have been doing it kind of on and off for years, but I guess we feel pretty comfortable with it when we try to make it our own, I guess.
Yeah, with covers, we don't do many covers, but if we're going to do a cover, we try and empirize them. That's a bit of a mouthful, but yeah. So do our own thing and make it our own version of it, not just like a carbon copy, but while staying true to the original as well, hopefully.
I think that's what any decent cover should do. You should always put your own stamp on it. Otherwise, kind of what's the point in just doing a sort of a carbon copy as such? So no, I think you're absolutely right.
Unless you're in a tribute band.
Unless you're in a tribute band, of course, then they're like there is a time and place.
Yeah.
And I saw the other day that people on release day can go on a nice little pub crawl with you.
Yeah, just out for drinks.
Yeah, we just thought, like, what could we do again that's a little bit more communal than just us. We put on a Northampton gig recently, and we've got the KK's gig coming up, and we've got another like the acoustic gig in Kettering coming up in May. So we thought, well, if we could do a release day gig, but that's not new, that's not interesting, that's not kind of inclusive of. So we thought, well, it is something we can conceivably do in person, and people can come down and join us and come for a drink, as well as we can do virtually. People will share a bunch of stuff on socials, and then people can see where we're drinking and share pictures of themselves drinking or whatever they're doing, basically.
Just have a good time and bring that community back to it, I guess.
Yeah, well, we're also trying to make Northampton feel a part of it. We're all based around the Northampton area. Some of us living in Northampton, and some a bit outside. But we've done 2 events recently with the listening party and the gig, and I've been living here for years, and Did's been living in towns near here for years. So it's a case of like, well, let's try and embrace that a little bit more as well. And if you can invite everybody along, be great.
Yeah, we've played shows all over this county, and it's a really good music scene. But for originals, like anything, it can be a little difficult. So embracing your hometown and inviting people from further afield to be a part of it is a good thing.
That sounds good, guys. So what does the rest of the year hold out for you guys?
Well,
domination.
Yeah, just small goal of ours. But yeah, basically we've got the headline show at KK's. We've got another headline show doing the acoustic date in the church in Kettering, which we've done. I think we normally do that once or twice a year, don't we? So we thought we'd start out with a few headline shows, which is not something we're particularly used to.
No, yeah.
Before we move into the summer festivals. So it's going to be things like sorry, excuse me, Love Rocks and Steelhouse. Of course, Steelhouse was like Winter's End kind of one of those turning points for us. I think we did that a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's a big event.
Nice.
And for your listeners, the Unplugged event on the 20th, that is at a church. It's an arts centre, so it is a gig at a fantastic location. It's quite a unique venue to have a gig, and it's well worth attending if you can make yourself available.
That's good, guys.
We do love a church if it has a bar. No, that's not,
and it
you know,
does.
and for pretty much I don't think any of us are religious, are we? Not at all. But it's like, it's a church with a bar, and it sounds good, and you can have a drink. So it's just,
It's a perfect combination.
it's great. Yeah, yeah.
The Arts Centre in Norwich is similar. The Arts Centre in Norwich is a former church, and I've seen sort of Venet up there, and it was fantastic. It's great acoustics, and like you say, it's got a bar in it. Great music. Why not?
Yeah, great atmosphere. It's a really good use for them. You know, I think it's a brilliant way to have a service.
Definitely.
Well, apparently, it's still a church that operates as a
well,
church,
yeah,
and
yeah.
they do comedy nights there with comics that you wouldn't necessarily expect to be performing in a church or anywhere that is, what's the word, sacrosanct.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah. So all credit to them, because you know that it's really cool. And then we've got one other headline show at the moment, which is over at the Patriot in Crumlin in Wales. So we're actually doing quite a few Welsh gigs, because in between some of the headline shows, we're doing Station 18 Festival in Swansea.
Oh, yeah.
That's at the end of April, and then we're back in Wales for Steelhouse, and then we're back in Wales again for the show at the Patriot at the end of September. Few festivals interspersed, and if we're lucky, we'll see, but hopefully we'll get to do a proper tour as well.
Yeah, so plenty of gigs in the diary.
Sounds good. I mean, I guess, you know, you've had such a great year, guys, since I last saw you properly. You know, you signed a K-Scope. You've also signed to ITB for booking agent, which is fantastic. You've got a great new album coming out. You're getting a lot of great reviews for it already, I've noticed. You're bringing in, you know, people from, you know, outside the country in terms of everything that's going on in France. That sounds fantastic. If you could achieve one more thing over the course of the next year, what would you want to achieve? Apart from world domination.
Oh,
no, that would be for Henrik.
That's a tough question, Lee.
I mean, all these things that we've got lined up for them to go well, you know, that is, you know, and we're doing an in-store as well soon, which is new for us. You know, we're doing an in-store gigs. There's lots of new things happening.
There's so much that we want to do, but to actually say there's like that one thing that we think is achievable before the end of the year, I think for me it would be to get a great support tour. Yeah. To you know,
yeah, to
go on tour and do a whole run of dates with a band, especially if it was like a band who are, you know, heroes of ours,
legacy band.
Something like that. That would be just the perfect end to a great year.
I don't know what might be something cool is if someone, I don't know, just like that you respect heard one of our songs and, you know, had a really positive reaction to it.
That'd always be nice. I guess on the back of that, then, if you could go and choose a support slot, who would you want to go out and support? I'll give you a band each. I'll be kind.
I know who I'd like to support at the moment, and they're back on the scene at the moment, and they're also an ITB band. And this, and I'm not. We know nothing, so and no, we haven't been asked. But if Extreme do tour, I think I would like to tour with Extreme,
because you can do Extreme more than words. You can sing more than words.
Don't think I want to do it. I'm perfectly happy to watch More Than Words every night, Nuno and Gary doing that. But
yeah,
I think I might duck out singing that.
The new single I was saying to you earlier, Henrik's brilliant. That Rise track's fantastic.
Yeah, it's. I'm going to ruin our chances. It's growing on me, and I think it's quite. I like the fact it's quite Stone Temple Pilots at the beginning.
Very SDP, yeah.
I'm not sure about the first part of Nuno solo. The other bit where he's just like kind of He-Man Woman Hater style going up and down the fretboard, and then they bring in the harmonies, and it's hoped they'd take it somewhere else, but I thought, that's just shot myself in the foot. Right, okay, sorry guys.
That's right. We'll edit that bit out. How about
On
you?
the tour with Dids?
Yeah, Extreme would be good, but maybe one of our local friends, Andy James, is in Five Finger Death Punch.
Ah, good call. Yeah.
And I think there's enough of a contrast.
Yeah, it would be a
there,
good call.
Certainly be a contrast.
you know, like, but that'd be good for their audience as well as, you know, our audience.
You guys got
So-
heavy enough riffs to sort of like, with it being a contrast without still being out of place.
Be interesting forming a set list
I think we
to
could,
do like it before Five Finger Death Punch, wouldn't it?
yeah. I think we could like kind of set the crowd up for Five Fingers. They're quite heavy.
By killing the vibe.
Yeah, by killing the vibe and, you know, getting some atmosphere.
Some
in there.
booze going, yeah. I mean, it would suit, in the retrospect, actually, it would suit us perfectly. We could
Yeah.
kill the vibe and they could boo us. We love that stuff, yeah.
I say you like
No,
some
is
booze, so you'd be all right.
Madonna back on is Madonna back on the scene now as well? We could go on tour with her.
She's still alive?
What are you going to be asking for next, MJ?
He's not about anymore.
Nice. All right, it's been great to chat to you guys. Always love catching up with you dudes. As you know, for
Let's do it again.
definitely, always, mate, always. As you know, we're doing this as part of the Takeover show. So as part of that, we'll obviously be playing a few songs from Relentless throughout the show, as well as playing your own choices, which you've been kind enough to let me know on. But what two songs off the album, a song each from Relentless, would you want me to play in particular?
Let's go for Hit and Run because it's like a really summery song and it's really nice for this weather that we're experiencing. Yeah, so Hit and Run, and let's go with Parasites.
Wicked. Henrik, Dids, thanks for your time, dudes. Always appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having us, Lee. It's good to see you, man.
Always good to see you guys. Cheers.